Good afternoon, it's 3:30, I'm Louis Moore and here are your sports headlines. Breaking news first up, and UEFA have announced a new international trophy. The competition features the Euro and Copa America champions. Italy and Argentina will compete in the first edition of the tournament, which will take place on Wednesday, the 1st of June at Wembley Stadium. A shortlist of the preferred bidders for Chelsea Football Club is expected by the end of today. Following the sanctions placed on Roman Abramovich, Chelsea Football Club have been forced to find new owners. Chelsea fan Nick Candy has improved his British-led bid to buy the club after a Korean institution joined his consortium over the weekend. There are several other groups interested, but according to recent reports from sports journalist Ben Jacobs, the Saudi media group are the least likely to take over the club. Continuing with Chelsea now, and the FA are hopeful that they will be allowed to sell out Wembley after Chelsea qualified for the semi-finals of the FA Cup at the weekend. Sanctions currently prohibit the club from selling any tickets. However, an FA spokesperson has said, "We are working with the government on a method to achieve this whilst respecting the sanctions that are currently in place on Chelsea." On to international news, and the Football Association in the UK and Ireland are confident they will be confirmed as joint hosts of Euro 2028 after they abandoned the idea to bid for the 2030 World Cup. There are currently no rival bids to host the tournament, and the deadline to lodge interest falls on Wednesday. We spoke to our Spanish correspondent, Jordi Capella, to give us an insight into Europe's opinion on the development.
Indeed, England has always got good stadia, good facilities, good infrastructure for hosting such a big tournament, so this is no problem. And of course, this the hooliganism is, if I can say that, the problem, especially after what we saw in Euro 2020 at Wembley. But probably not at that scale, but there have been crowd problems in many other countries in Europe. In Spain, there was an important crowd problem during the last Copa del Rey quarterfinal between Betis and Seville. Objects were thrown onto the pitch. So I think there will be no problems and no feeling back for other countries for UK and Ireland hosting the 2028 Euros.
Kyle Walker-Peters and Tyrick Mitchell are the two of the newest names to be called up on the England team. The young fullbacks were added to the squad after a number of injury withdrawals. England plays Switzerland in an international friendly on Saturday, with many of the new call-ups looking to earn their first England cap. Gareth Bale has returned to Wales training before their crucial World Cup playoff game against Qatar. Bale, who missed Sunday's El Clasico through illness, was a doubt for the Dragons. However, his return is a major boost for Robert Page's side. Now for some local news. Firstly, we go to Eastleigh FC, where things have gone from bad to worse. The Hampshire side is sitting 18th in the National League and have now suffered COVID crisis in the squad. We sent our reporter Carl Pogue-Elms to find out more.
Eastleigh Football Club are currently in lockdown, with many of the first team players currently self-isolating after testing positive for COVID-19. An airily quiet car park under the clear blue skies of Hampshire was the scene at the Silver Lake Stadium this afternoon, a sight that looks an awful lot like the first lockdown nearly 2 years ago. Whilst the current isolation laws don't require you to self-isolate, Eastleigh players are still locked away until they test negative, in order to prevent the virus spreading through the entire squad. We sent reporter Will Terrell down to the training ground to find out more information.
Eastleigh are in the middle of a COVID outbreak. I'm currently here at Stoneham Lane, where some of the youth team players will be training ahead of a potential game in the league tonight for the first team. Eastleigh welcome Dagenham and Redbridge to their home ground for a league game tonight. With many players from the first team out injured, it's not the best start for new manager Lee Bradbury, who took over just 3 weeks ago. Many of the youth team players will be looking to get a game tonight, and Lee Bradbury will be getting to know some of his youth team players a bit sooner than he potentially first thought. We've been speaking to the press officer, who said it's been a very confusing few days at the club.
The Solent Seconds football team are coming up to an end of their season, and the last game is looking to be extremely crucial. We sent our local reporter, Saj Rahman, down to Test Park to get the latest.
Solent's second team are in action on Wednesday for their final game of the season as they host Bath Thirds. After a rough start to the campaign, Solent have found themselves fighting to stay in the league, but manager Daniel Burns believes his team are too good to go down.
My name's Daniel Burns and I'm Solent 2's manager. We're going to stay up. There's no chance of relegation, no chance of it. We're staying up and yeah, it's going to be a good performance. I'm going 3 or 4-0 easy. It's very nerve-wracking. I mean, it can go 2 ways this season. It can end up being a very positive season or it can end up in the league below. So it's a massive game for us and we deserve to have them 3 points and stay up.
He's still in. I like it, it's gone there.
Solent's first team ran right in the league this year and they won the league and cup double in the process. However, the seconds were the closest team to beat them and they only narrowly missed out on a victory in a 2-1 loss. The progress that Dan has seen throughout the season has been a standout factor for him.
Great ball, Mace. Great movement, G.
The quality is so high. I mean, them and Winchester at the start of the season were running away with the league and now we're bringing them close at the moment. We're 1-0 up, losing 2-1 in a gutting way as well. I mean, it shows how far the squad's come.
With Solent desperate for a win to keep them in the league, the manager will be hoping for more passion and challenges like this. Sad Rahman, Solent Sports News.
F1 now. Christian Horner has put rivalries aside to give support to his Mercedes counterpart Toto Wolff after he spoke about his mental health troubles. Horner said, "All credit to Toto for having the courage to talk about his issues with mental health. To be able to talk about it is a positive thing." The next stage of the F1 season takes place this Sunday in Saudi Arabia. Rafael Nadal is returning to Europe following his first defeat of the new season. The Grand Slam record holder started the season 20-0 but lost in the final at Indian Wells to Taylor Fritz and appeared to suffer a chest injury midway through the match. Nadal is unsure how long he'll be out for, but hopes to make it back in time for the clay season. For our next story, we travel to the Pound for Pound Palace in Southampton, where local boxer Gresham Back gave us exclusive access into the gym, and our reporter Ollie Carroll went to find more.
This Friday, Pound for Pound Palace are hosting a boxing event in which Gresham Back of Southampton will look to win his second fight in just under a month after his victory over Dan Quarrington. The last 2 years have been tricky for Back, with coronavirus restrictions limiting how he can train.
That was affect my fights because I had no fights like for the long time. In the COVID time, they canceled my 5 fights. So I was without fights, like long break, and after that, when I had my first fight, after that long break, was hard, you know. I was like stressed, stiff, you know. But now that it's gonna be like 5th fight in 6 months, so I fight like every month now.
Back has also found a way to use his talents outside of the ring, as for the last 4 years, he has been training kids MMA through his Bumblebee Flight School.
You know, that was my dream from the beginning, you know. I love kids, I like to be around the kids, you know, and pass everything I know about the mixed martial arts because I started since I was 7, so I know the whole process, how it looks, you know, and yeah, it's my passion, you know.
He wasn't able to achieve such heights without some setbacks though. At the age of 14, alcohol and partying would inhibit him from training throughout most of his teenage years. Back moved to England when he was just 18 to help get his life back on track and took up MMA, and from then has never looked back. After spending countless hours in the gym, Back now feels like the sky is the limit.
The Six Nations came to a close on Saturday and it was France who ended up lifting the trophy. But it was the Wales and Italy game that got the most attention as the underdog Italians got a huge shock win. Wales were favourites for the game as Italy had not won a Six Nations match since 2015, but the Dragons were left embarrassed after the final whistle. Welsh lock Alan Wynne-Jones spoke candidly following the game.
Obviously, I think the discipline and being a yard off at the breakdown in the first half. In credit to the Italians, I thought they kicked well. I'm punished on a few counters. I think Ioane was all but hemmed in a couple of times, but I don't know how he got out of jail and turned a lot of pressure into attack for them. So credit to them and the way they dealt with I suppose the aerial game, the kicking game. Obviously, I think the discipline.
Missed the Masters for the first time in 28 years. The 51-year-old has been listed as a past player not playing on the tournament's website. The three-time Masters winner is currently taking a break from the sport following his controversial comments about Saudi Arabia. And finally, finishing with some news from the NBA, LeBron James of the LA Lakers scored a triple-double against his former team, the Cleveland Cavaliers. The King dropped 38 points, 11 rebounds and 12 assists in a game where he also dunked on best friend, former teammate, Kevin Love. That's all from us today. I've been Louis Moore with all your sports headlines. For more information, follow our social media pages at Solent Sports News and go to our website www.solentjournalism.co.uk.